Hello and welcome to the Adventure Habits podcast with me, David Overton, where we find the finest adventurers that we can, and we get to extract from them the adventure habits that mean that they get to adventure more frequently. That's the idea, that we can get you to adventure more frequently as well, dear listener. Today, I'm absolutely honoured to have with me Cathy Reavy from Wild Mountain, Northern Ireland. Cathy, say hi.
Good morning, David. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me on. Excited to be part of your Adventure Habit podcast. So
it's great to have you here. It's really great to have you here. And Cathy, you've been in our kind of sphere for since 2021. I just looked back through a little bit of history, and you've actually inspired us to engage with Ordnance Survey Northern Ireland. Yes, there are different Ordnance surveys around the British Isles. That got us to get the license with them. We made a dedicated product for you. You use it magnificently in the Mourne Mountains. And your business is so unique on so many different levels. Can you just give us a quick précis of what Wild Mountain Northern Ireland's all about?
Yeah, no problem, David. So Wild Mountain NI, it came from a passion I had for hiking in the mountains and basically going out, doing hiking adventures and getting such good feedback from people about, oh, I'd love to try that. And then kind of thought, well, maybe I can start up this business guiding people safely in the mountains. So I then progressed to do my mountain leader training. So basically, we provide guided hiking adventures, mainly in the Mourne Mountains, which is our local mountain range, but all over Ireland. We've been to the UK and we've been internationally as well. So our strapline for our adventures is no ordinary adventure. So we try to provide something a little bit different, whether that's from maybe sunset hikes, sunrise hikes. We'll bring a little fire pit. And, we can toast s'mores and things at sunset. The fire is obviously following the 7 principles of leave no trace. So we leave absolutely no trace of the fire being there. It's in a self-contained fire pit. And we'll obviously do that only whenever the conditions allow for it. So if it's a dry summer or whatever, we wouldn't be doing it because we've just had quite bad fires recently in the Mourne Mountains.
I've been reading about those. I mean, it's a really big phenomenon, isn't it? And it happened in the Peak District and other mountainous areas around the British Isles as well. Really odd in March.
It is, yeah. We had a particularly dry period there, and I think some of them were maybe set intentionally, and it's very sad to see the damage. But I think there needs to be knowledge put out there for people doing barbecues, lighting campfires and things, and sort of a bit more advice on how to manage those. And basically, do not be doing it whenever the weather's really, really dry. There's a lot of damage, to wildlife and things, and it takes years for that to all, come back.
Which is a good reason for going up the mountains with professionals like you. And I've actually even seen, I mean, your social media stuff is absolutely second to none. I absolutely love the natural way that it all comes together. You even have you team up with other local businesses, I guess. I was watching one the other day where he's a chef, isn't he? Or he's kind of a specialist outdoor chef. So it's a delicious experience going on one of your trips.
Yes, so that comes from, trying to provide something a little bit different. And yes, so we've got Paul. Paul is actually guiding for us now as well. So he's not only a chef, he's a qualified mountain leader and has a massive, massive passion for the outdoors. So he runs a company called Wild Gourmet NI. So we would go and do hikes and we would come back and Paul would have everything set up with a tarp set up, a fire pit, and would provide us with delicious food and his famous chocolate brownies. Now, I don't eat chocolate, but from what I hear, these are the best chocolate brownies in the world. So he was actually away in Scotland with us and provided everybody with chocolate brownies and flapjacks every day. So that kept the morale up. The weather wasn't great.
You'll be dragging them across to Northern Ireland with you now for the chocolate treats at the top. Fantastic. But I mean, those aren't the only. I mean, the thing that's been noticeable about you and your business, Cathy, is that you've got this interconnected way with other businesses in the local area. And I remember when we set up we set up a map for you, which had some beautiful branding on it. Like I say, it was the Ordnance Survey Northern Ireland 1 to 25,000. I believe that's on sale through your site. We don't hold stocks of it. You can buy it from Splash Maps, but go to Cathy and she holds stocks, can ship it straight out to you. It's
Yeah.
it's you know, and in our relationship there, I noticed that you built relationships with people who had the bunkhouses, people who had the cafes, probably pubs and all sorts of businesses around the area, and that marked you out from all our other customer base who are, you know, there are some that do that, but with you, I think it was really obvious you'd stretched out, you had a network, and just tell us a little bit about that. How did your network come about?
So basically, we like to use local services, support local. So we were using there was a local cafe, it's actually closed now, very sadly. It was a little hidden gem in the Mournes, and we would have maybe had breakfast there beforehand. And then went on our hike or came back and had lunch. And they stocked the maps for us very kindly there as well. And we were using a local shuttle service, Mourne Road Tours, and also the Mourne Shuttle Service. And we had them providing the maps as well. And also a local amenity, the Meanmore Lodge, which do a lot of camping. So it's just
Mhm.
basically like to support local and like to bring people in the area, the business as well. If we have that footfall of people coming in, it's nice to sort of help out other businesses. But yeah, so with regards to the map, I have one here. So I remember finding splash maps online and thought they were absolutely amazing. And I was like, there's no Mourne Mountain map. So I contacted David and I was like, would you be interested? So we came up with the Mourne Mountain splash map. So as you say, it's
There
the 1 to
she is.
25,000 Ordnance Survey map. And very handily, it covers the whole of the Mourne Mountains, and then it's got our logo on the bottom there. So, yes, it
Fantastic.
fitted in. It couldn't have fitted any better, getting the whole mountain range in. So,
Right.
yeah. So, yes, we have people providing. So, I have a lot of stock in. If anybody's looking, they can contact me through social media, Facebook or online, and I can get those maps posted out. Or anybody going on any of our hikes, they're there. I have stock with me usually
That's
to
terrific.
save you the postage. Every penny counts.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, so go to Cathy for that. And Cathy, you've also kind of extended. You know, it's my mistake to associate you entirely with the Mourne Mountains, but you've just come back from Scotland. You've been to Everest Base Camp, I think was that last year, and you've got a few things lined up for this year as well. There's some quite exciting things that I've been looking at on social media for you. What's Just give us a quick update on what's coming up and how you'll be doing it, and what you do when you go out there, because I've seen in Everest you got actively involved in the cleanup of Everest as well.
Yes, so we provide away trips. Yes, we're just back there literally on Monday evening from a 4-day hiking trip in Scotland, which challenging weather to say the least, but we
Yeah.
managed to bag 3 Munros when we were there, and yeah, there was a group of 20 of us away. So again, we utilised the local facilities and stayed in a hostel in Cranlarrick, and then just travelled from there each day. We had Paul with us, so Paul was providing food. So we travelled with our own chef, and we also had Patrice who sings, so she brought a guitar. So we were travelling with our own musician and our own chef in this particular one.
Wow.
But we have yet. So in the past, we have done Everest Base Camp. We did the Dolomites last September. We've done the Three Peaks. We've done all the four highest peaks in the four provinces in Ireland. So that's three of those are in the south of Ireland as well. And for this year, we have Kilimanjaro is happening in at the first 2 weeks in December. And at the minute, I'm like, my head is exploding because I have so many people contacting me about amazing trips and so many
Yeah.
things I want to do. So it's just trying to get time to do those. So sort of for next year and the following year, the four I'm kind of looking at the minute are the Picos, the Tour de Mont Blanc, a tour in Iceland, and I have a friend who does tours out in Bali. So I'm meeting up with him this week to maybe do like a Bali Camino type, and we will have on the back of that then maybe a 4-day kayaking adventure to the islands. So it's just trying to bring it all together. But we do like to just provide something a little bit different.
It certainly sounds different, and it's also it's quite inclusive, isn't it? I mean, your women-led expeditions, for a start. I notice it's dog-friendly as well. I mean, what are the other things? I mean, they're different adventures, but the thing that I get the impression of is it's very all-encompassing. It's all very welcoming.
It is, yes. And we we get mostly women coming on our hikes, and I get a few messages from men saying, "Oh, is this open to men?" But everybody is very welcome, and dogs are definitely very welcome because
Yeah.
I'm a big dog lover. But yes, so the Wild Mountain was started up by myself and a friend of mine, Petra. So it was that's I think being a women led group, we attracted more women. Now Petra has taken she's actually got into the fire service now, so she is still
Oh,
guiding, but she's sort of taken a little bit of a step back, but it will be guiding for us. So we've now got Paul, so we've now got a male leader as well, so we're definitely opening the doors a bit. Um so yeah, we find yes, we find it's definitely mostly women, David. And see, to be honest, I just I love seeing women pushing themselves because I find all the time that women especially underestimate their abilities, and I am very much for believing in people and believing in them more than they believe in themselves. And that's sort of the ethos of the company. And I try to get that across in my social media, that everybody is welcome. And also, my phone number is on social media. If anybody wants to contact me about any hikes beforehand, because people don't know, they're going with a new group, they don't know, am I going to hold everybody back? Will I have the right gear? What's it going to be like? And after a chat on the phone, people's minds are normally set at ease. So it's always good to talk. But
yeah.
I love that side of it, seeing people grow and thrive. And it's funny, when we were away in Scotland, we had a very, very challenging hike on Sunday. We climbed Ben Narnain in wind and rain. So it tested everybody's gear and it tested everybody's resilience. But when we came back down, I kind of was like, because I sort of noticed a few things with kit and things throughout the hike, of things that could have been improved with people. So I did a little talk and I asked if people were willing to sort of put their point forward of what they got out of that hike, what they had learned and what they would change. So we had a few things like, get a better waterproof coat, to have my gloves at the top of my bag, pack my bag better. But then I got a lot of, if I was out on my own, I wouldn't have went on. If I had been with my friends, I wouldn't. And I've pushed myself today and achieved something that I probably wouldn't have done if I'd been on my own. And just such lovely feedback and comments about myself and Paul guiding them and the trust that they have in us. And at the end of the day, we were taking them in something that we know them and we know that they're capable of,
Yeah.
and assessing the situation as we go, assessing the group as we go, seeing if everybody's warm, and we got them all to the top. And it was just lovely to hear the comments from people about what they got out of the day, how empowered they were, and yeah, it was a bit
Well,
overwhelming. So
sometimes that can only happen in rotten weather, right? That's yeah, it kind of has to be. It's got a curative, well, it's got a
mhm.
challenging property to it, and I can sense that you're actually touching on some of the great habits that you picked up over the years leading groups, and you're actually the second in this kind of sub series of the Adventure Habits pod. We had Steve Late, who's a veteran leader of the Duke of Edinburgh Awards groups going all over the UK. So 50 years of scouting, etc. Now he had five habits, and I'm afraid I didn't follow one of them, and it was one that you just kind of touched on, which is the you know learn from your mistakes, or learn from what went wrong the last time. And I had I I just sailed over my handlebars the other day. I've got a cracked rib at the moment and a little bit of a head injury as well from where the helmet scraped. Um, and that was literally because he literally said to me that day, you know, learn from your lessons. I knew that that the little unit for getting my light pointing in the right spot was dodgy. um, I was hooning down a hill and hit a tree stump, and it was it was my fault. I knew that there was something I needed to fix. I knew that I'd been down that path many times, and I knew that there were tree stumps all over the place, and I didn't do anything about it. So, what I'd say to you, dear listener, is listen carefully to Cathy's 5 habits, because if you adopt these habits, you will have a trouble-free time in the outdoors, right, Cathy?
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, so fire away. What's your first habit?
Okay, so I've split these habits up into a couple of them are for solo hikers. So if I would be going out on my own. So basically, before you go out on any hike, ask yourself 3 questions. Am I confident? And do I have the knowledge and skills for the day? So that's
Yep.
basically planning your route. So obviously that's where your splash map comes in. Bringing your map and compass, and there's no point bringing a map and compass if you don't know how to use them. So I would advise anybody that's going out to do any solo walking in the hills, to, especially if they're going off trail and things, is to learn some basic navigation skills,
Yeah.
and including obviously what to do in an emergency as well. And then weather as well. So always, I check 3 different apps. I check Meteo Blue app, I check our local Met Office mountain forecast app, and then I check the mountain forecast app. I know from experience the Met Office is always extreme. Like it will give the worst case scenario. So you kind
Yeah.
of get to know whenever you're out in the mountains, right? This is what the forecast I was given for today. This is what I'm getting. So you get a feel for which apps are good and which apps are not. So have a good knowledge of that. If there's any weather warnings out or anything, do not be going out. If there's any fog, low cloud forecast, and you're not confident with your navigation skills, do not be going out. If there's doubt, there's no doubt. So, and the other thing is your gear, having the gear that you require for that day. You know, if it's going to be cold, if it's going to be wet, if it's going to be windy. And obviously, your key gear for me is map, compass, a battery pack for my phone, and also wet weather gear. And I always say to people, if it's 26 degrees in the car park, you need your wet weather gear in your bag, because you don't know what's going to happen up the mountain. And if you have an accident or anything goes wrong, you can get into your wet weather gear and it will act as a shelter for you.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so
That's so
that's
broadly, I'd say that that's the am I confident, and that kind of bridges
It's
out
basically
into
plan and prepare, David. It's basically, am I
yeah.
competent for and have the knowledge for the route that I want to do? Is the weather going to be okay? And do I have the kit? So those are the 3 questions you ask yourself before you go out on any
Yeah.
hike.
Okay, fantastic, fantastic. So your first habit is to have those 3 questions.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
I like the way you snuck those in there. We're going to be up to about 25 different habits by the end of this, I
I
can
know.
tell. But they're all great habits to have, particularly the one about maps. You always make sure, you know, maybe it should be like a weatherproof one that can deal with a howling gale and that sort of stuff, and doesn't need folding and mushing in water when it starts to rain, that sort of stuff. Anyway, small plug. Um, okay, so what's your second habit, Cathy?
Always advise somebody on where you're going. So of your route, your start time, and your expected finish time, and then get in contact with that person whenever you get back. You can use WhatsApp live location. It will drain your battery, so you need to make sure you've got a battery pack with you. Or you can use Find My iPhone or Find My Phone as well if you've got an iPhone. I'm not sure what it is for Android. That way somebody has your live location at all times when you're out in the mountains.
Yeah, yeah, that's great, and I'm really surprised actually that, you know, this is episode 8 now, and that one hasn't come up yet. So I'm really quite surprised that's been the first time that's come up. But it's obviously incredibly sensible to let people know where you are and when you're expected to come back. I
Mhm.
like the idea of live trackers, but it's that goes back to making sure you're equipped. You've got a spare battery to make sure those things keep running.
Yeah.
Okay, and habit 3.
Okay, so this is getting into the group side of things more now. So basically, knowledge of your group. So knowing who's coming with you. So we would put out details of our events with the stats there for people. But on top of that, we also then send out Google Docs with medical forms and equipment lists and things like that. So to advise people on what they need to bring. So we will have any information on people's medical conditions, any medication they're on, any allergies they have, any food allergies they have over doing food events. Um, and so basically we will know. I also chat with people that I don't know. I maybe send them a private message and ask them about their hiking experience. So that I have a picture. I'm quite lucky now, Dave, because we have like a wild mountain community which has like 30, 35 people in it. So a lot of the times I know that people going out on our hikes, but we are open to the public. So we had two new people join us in Scotland over the weekend, which was brilliant. So it's kind of just to get to know and have a picture in your head of people before they arrive. So that would be a big thing for group hikes.
Yeah, know the people you're going with.
Hmm.
That does make an awful lot of sense. And it applies to expeditions, big and small as well. I suppose does that become more important as you go further afield, or is it just a habit to have for every expedition
No,
that
it's
you
a
go
habit
on?
to have for every hike. I think obviously it's more important for the bigger ones, but that leads me on to number four because it is basically meeting people's expectations or what people's expectations are of hikes. So we can grade hikes and we can put our stats in with hikes, but like the people that begin some people's beginners hikes are not another person's beginners hikes.
Yeah,
And sometimes people think that beginners hike going out in the mountains is like a path with a handrail and
yeah,
that's not the way. So basically I've learned over time is to be very, very transparent with details of the hike, and letting people know about the route that we're going on, what you can expect, what type of terrain to expect, whether it's going to be boggy, and also obviously so the week before our hike goes out, send out an email with a medical form and can put things in there as well, what weather we can expect. If it's going to be particularly cold, I can advise them people, or if we're hiking later in the day, make sure people have got their head torches and their spare batteries. There's no point bringing your head torch if you don't bring spare batteries because it could run out, especially in the cold. So just advising people, letting people know so I need to know what I can expect from people, and they need to know what they can expect as well coming on the
yeah.
hikes, and what the
No,
group size is, how many leaders there are, who's leading, and it kind of lets people get a realistic picture in their head before they come. Because I find if you don't, people have a very unrealistic picture of what to expect sometimes. So that's a learning curve with groups, definitely.
definitely. Okay, okay, good, good, good. And I suppose you could really get anyone that's coming. So setting that expectation is really essential. And you might actually find that you part ways with your as in before they come onto your route, that it just won't be for them. Um,
Yeah, definitely. And it's good for people to contact me because sometimes it isn't for them. But then it can work the other way. I remember, I think it was the first year we started, I had a lady book on to hike. And I could sort of get the vibe. She was a bit nervous and things. And I says, "Look, give me a ring." So she gave me a ring, and we had the best crack. We had the best conversation. And it's like, right, I'm coming. She ended up going on to do every hike we did that year, including the big day, 12-hour day challenges, and absolutely blew it out of the water. And that all came from because she was cancelling. She messaged and says, "I'm not going to come." And I was like,
no,
"Why don't we have a chat?" And that's what came off the back of that. Was yeah, she was nervous. She didn't know what to expect, so I was able to talk to her and say, "This is actually the way that it's going to be. Is it
yeah.
for you?" And I got a feel for her as well. And I was like, definitely. So, yeah.
I mean that seems to be the key of the small business that deals with people's specific needs, and people find that surprising as well with a company like our one that you know when they pick up the phone and they want to ask about maps, typically they talk to me, and I'm able to put their mind straight, and I'm able to make adaptations for them. I'm able to do things for them because I've been through the process. And it's the same, I guess, with your business. You've walked that route many, many times. You've walked with many people, and so you know exactly how to put people at ease. In my particular case, it might be with heights, for example, and I know that you'd be a fantastic person to help me through that challenge as we go up the hill. So yeah, we still need to do that, Cathy.
Definitely, you're welcome anytime.
Fantastic. And so you've got your fifth one now.
Okay, so this would be kit basically for groups. So basically making sure I have the appropriate kit for the size of group. So we would obviously take emergency equipment out with us: first aid kit, sand splints. I have a small bag type bivy, and then we carry group shelters for the number for the size of the group. Um, then another thing is bringing spare kit. So this is what we're finding all the time. So I put the kit list out, and people, it's gloves. For some reason, people do not bring appropriate gloves, and I always say to bring a spare pair, and they don't bring a spare pair. And that is the one thing that we find people have to borrow a lot.
Right.
Is gloves. So we try to make sure that we've got like a spare hat, spare gloves, spare jacket, like a XL, just a basic puffer jacket that you can just put over somebody. If there's an emergency situation, you stick that over them, and you can put them in the bivy bag, and then you can put them in the shelter just to keep them out of the elements. Um, Also packing the bag, just making sure that the things that I need are at the top of my bag rather than I saw it at the weekend. There was a couple of times we were stopped and the weather was just, it was so bad. And people are like this, trying to get stuff out of the bottom of their bag. And it's not an ideal situation. So I tend to use dry bags. So I don't have to use a rucksack cover, and I have dry bags. I have everything, and I know what's in what. And try to, if it's a wet day, have your wet weather gear at the top of your bag, things like that. And
Okay.
then obviously, the number one piece of kit that I have on me in my jacket and my the pocket is my splash map and my compass. And I probably should have got a splash map off you, David, before I went to Scotland, because the weather that we had would have been
Yeah,
absolutely perfect for it. So yeah,
we
there's
do
a
great maps of Scotland, as well you're
yeah,
aware. So yeah. Bad you this time. I think we got you the Everest ones as well. So you know that we can do anywhere on the planet. And one thing you might be interested in actually is that we actually can now print on both sides of the map. I think you've asked about that in the past. We haven't been able to do it. Now we can do it, and it actually looks really good. So you're getting twice the distance, twice the coverage for the same weight, and as usual, doubles up as a waterproof bandana, etc. So
yeah, brilliant.
yeah, really very handy to have. Well, look, Cathy, we've got some great habits from you there. So I've got it down in my own way. So your first one for the solo guys is to have confidence, and that confidence comes from being properly kitted and properly aware and with honed skills. If you don't feel confident in going out, weather-wise, skill-wise, whatever, don't go out. Get started. Start with a group. Perhaps start with Wild Mountain NI. I can't imagine a better group to get started with. Um, then always advise someone of your comings and goings. Maybe have yourself tracked, have someone tracking you as you go. Usual caveat with that one is make sure if you're using battery powered stuff that you've got enough battery, and that you prioritize it for that stuff rather than perhaps the other GPS hungry stuff, like following GPS, for example. And then there is know your group. Know exactly who's going to come along, what are the medical issues, etc. And then the fourth one is meet expectation. Make sure that if you're leading the group, that everybody knows what to expect, and be there. It's that stuff of being available. Cathy's number's available through the social media, etc., so that you can chat with her before you actually commit to buy and to get up into the Mourne Mountains, Everest, Kilimanjaro. Just get out there. And then make sure that the kit that you've got is appropriate for the size of the group. So that's about, largely about bringing spares and making sure that the kit that's most important to you is nearest the top and nearest on hand for you as you go. Cathy, I think that's a terrific set of five. I'd really endorse all of those. Everyone, learn from my mistakes. Listen to these experts. Cathy is prime amongst them. And Cathy, I just want to thank you for your time today. It's been absolutely super having you. Is there anything that you'd like to say to anyone before we go?
No, just like to say thank you for inviting me on to be part of this. It's been really amazing, and yeah, just drop us a wee follow on social media at Wild Mountain NI, both Facebook and Instagram. I know maybe a lot of your followers are maybe in the mainland UK, but we will be doing. I hope to run a Three Peaks next year. So Ben Nevis, Scafell Pike, and Snowdon over 3 days. So it's not the 24-hour challenge; it's a bit more manageable. And obviously our away trips as well. We can work those that you can meet us there, the likes of Killy, Iceland, Tour de Mont Blanc, Picos, and Bali. So those all that information will be coming out. So if you give us a wee follow on social media, it'll keep you up to date with all that.
Great. And of
Thanks,
course, we'll
David.
put all your links below all of this will go out on Spotify and YouTube, as well as being on our website under the Adventure Habits section. So, Cathy, fantastic to talk to you. As you'll be aware, Steve Lake was on the last episode. So that's our 2 series. Get those group hikes sorted out. I mean, really, you should be planning for those summer hikes now. And there are some great bits of advice in there. Do subscribe, join us, and be part of the community at Adventure Habits. If you've got something, if you're an adventurer, if you would love to be inside our circle, just contact me. I'm very approachable, and we'll see if there's a slot for you, or whether we can accommodate you some other way. But please do join up and subscribe to Splash Maps on whichever medium you're on. Okay, thank you very much, and goodbye.
Thanks. Bye bye.